Hey there, everyone. How we all doing? Sorry, blooming technical difficulties here, but we are back. So Carlton, they've taken, the draft is still going strong. Carlton have taken the legend that is... Carlton have taken the legend that is Jesse Motlop. So let's have a look at him. Small forward, pure X factor, goal kicking sense. It's elite. It really is elite as well when we say that. And hard to pin down. And to be honest, absolutely shocked that he's there. Absolutely shocked, to be honest with you. I really thought that Fremantle would snip him. Genuinely shocked. I'm going to give this a share, so let me know you're here and we're chatting. And I'll share this. But hopefully everyone's excited by that. Like, we talked about him, me and Terry, for those who remember, in our second episode. And he was my pick in the guys that would be around us. I did warn, though, that I thought... I had a sneaking suspicion that Fremantle would take him. But their loss, our gain. And to be honest, I think it's madness that Fremantle didn't take him. I do. But this kid is ready to go. Mark my words, ready to go. We haven't had someone this exciting at our club since Eddie Betts first got. So that's the type of player he is. An absolute breaker open of the game. He is... a literal force to be reckoned with. And he'll be ready round one. These type of players, very early doors, will be ready. So this is a great get from the mighty Carlton. And it's not often we can get excited. Love it, Tim. But yeah, McDonald, as Josh says, McDonald was probably who Carlton were after. And you did see, if you go back to watch it, old Sam Mitchell was very smiley when Geelong surprised everyone. I was a little bit surprised as well that they did it, that he stayed there. I was genuinely shocked as well. So let me know you're all here then as we're going through the draft. Machicho Owens has just gone. He's an absolute top little get there for him. Absolute supreme player. But no, I'm super happy with that. And honestly, I did not expect him to last that long. How good's that? So while we're waiting for the AFL to do its thing, let's just have a look at Jesse Motlop again. Pure X Factor, small forward, goal kicking sense. He joins the Blues from Fremantle's NGA, but he is an absolute superstar, this kid in the making. Real excitement machine, loves the celebration. And one thing that stuck out for me when I do this is small forwards are probably the easiest ones to get right. In the terms of, you look at the draft, historically, small forwards go off very quickly. And he suits the bill. He's not going to be like SPS, Yaron Garlett, or Pickett. No, he's head screwed on. And one thing that does excite me about him, when you go through his draft year, really, as we are at the moment, is his ability to... You have seen improvements in his game, particularly in the last 2 years, in his defensive craft. And I want you to think of someone like Tipper Woody, would be my definition of this type of player. He's Tipper Woody. He puts pressure on him. And he really, really causes mistakes. And that's the thing. Good question here from Tim. What's his negative? Probably his size is a common thing. You never know how these guys take. But I will counter that with, even though he's probably not the biggest, if you look at small forwards like Liam Ryan, you look at small forwards like Tipper, who traditionally have a question mark over theirs in their draft years, the football savviness has got it. So like Peter says, he's literally ready round one. I would say, couple of pre-season games, this guy's good to go. Because small forwards, you look at Myers at Geelong, went very late. It's not a difficult position to play when you've got it up here and he's got it. Ian Mond, would you have taken him over Sonsi? I'd say Sonsy's the better dynamic player, for sure. For sure. Tyler Sonzy is definitely the better dynamic type player in the terms of he's more well-rounded. I would say, though, when you look at Tyler Sonzy, Carlton have got a lot of players like him. I would say Carlton's biggest issue in the forward line is they haven't got someone who's X-Factor. You look at Josh Honey, you look at Corey Durden. These guys are more pressure-based workhorses. We don't have a Cameron. We don't have a player like that. So I think he is good. 300 gamer, I can't see why not. I think he'll become a fan favourite quickly. The way he plays, it's exciting. He'll definitely play games next year. Whether Carlton will play him first cab off the rank, I do not know. But I wouldn't be surprised that he plays very early doors. Peter, will he probably play Zach Fisher on the wing? If he's got the engine, I'd say that's the question mark with Zach Fisher. But what excites me about this guy as well is Motlop can instantly swing on the wing. So that's what's really exciting for Carlton in that avenue. He is a winger. Exactly, Tim. It's not the size of the nail, it's the hammer. And I would say, when you look at small forwards, you see this. If you ever go through Cal Toomey, he's absolutely brilliant with his draft previews. One of the best. He has strength quite a lot. And I'd always count a strength in these type of positions is that's not really essential. Because Eddie Betts isn't the strongest footballer you ever see. Eddie Betts hasn't got great strength. But what he has got is he's got this. And you don't need strength when you use this a little bit better than everyone else. So it's going to be good. The few Geelong fans in here. Geelong have done really well. Francis Evans better. No, he's not. But he's a real superstar. I'm really looking forward to this kid play. And I think we're going to be very, very excited. Will Carlton pick up next? So obviously when we went to the draft preview with Terry, for those who watched it, we talked about Motlop. What will we do with the later picks? It's going to be interesting what Carlton do, I think, with the later picks. Will they take someone now? Will they go into the pre-season draft? I do not know. There is a few guys, though, that I want to talk about that do excite me. To say the least. And one of the guys I want to look at is Noah Pegoraro. That's someone that I'm really excited about if Carlton pick, because I think if you're going to go key defender for me, he's the pick of the bunch. I know a lot of talk has been talked about old mate Charlie Dean, but that's it. Pommy, you go for Carlton. Least favourite club? My least favourite club, probably Essendon. I hate Essendon. I pretend to hate old Collingwood, but I do think I probably hate Essendon more. It's banter more with Collingwood. I do hate them, but I just love them to hate them. But it's going to be interesting. Paul Curtis, we talked about him as someone who potentially could go late. Probably the most coolest looking footballer. I think, in the world. But Adelaide on the clock. They've had a really good draft period, haven't they? Adelaide, they've got my boy, Josh Rochelle. I hate to see it. It's going to be exciting to see what happens with the next few picks, though, isn't it? I think it's an exciting time. It's going to be very interesting to see what goes. We're getting Carlton's next pick provisionally at this stage is 56. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Let's bring me back onto the main screen so you can see me. So how's everyone doing? So it's going to be good. As long as you keep working harder and Mucky can go and play 2 games. Can't believe Taylor's still on the board. North just got Curtis, Dacos. I might just appreciate the good-looking nature of Charlie Kerner, because he's a specimen, isn't he? He's a very good-looking boy. Michael Henriksen, good day to you, my friend. Great to see you and Adam Gould in the Cohen chat. Good chat with the Prez. It was very interesting, wasn't it? Very, very knowledgeable, very entertaining to see what is happening at Carlton Football Club, I think. But I'm really excited about this. I'll stick around and watch a bit of the draft with you. Toby Conway. Let's talk about Toby Conway. I'm really excited. Best ruckman in the draft for me. Best ruckman in the draft by a long way for Ruckcraft. So it is a good get. Luke McEwen. We need to send Jesse to a decent barber to get the... I was going to say he probably is lucky to be drafted by Carlton that they're all getting their heads shaved. Isn't it? So that's probably a good call for him. But let's have a look what Adelaide pick up. I wonder if I can... do this with you guys. No, I can't. So, how's everyone feel like the draft? Are they happy? I'm really, really happy with Carlton. How are the rival fans? Talk to me about that. Talk to me what you're feeling about that. As I try and see if I can share. See if I can I crop it? There we are. Can you see that? Let's see if I can crop this for you. So there we are. There's the draft, so we can see it together. But Motlop, really good. Jesse Motlop, better than Dacos. Different types of players. But I'm really happy with him. I mean, he's a supreme little footballer. I mean, let's bring him back up again. Look at the sexy little beast. Got the 90s hair. I think I used to have that hairstyle just about 91, 92. But pure X factor, goal kicking sense. And a big one for us is his pressure acts. He's real strong on his pressure acts. So that's something last year that Carlton were horrific in. Only one player averaged one or more tackles a game inside 50. And this kid brings that. So this is a very exciting acquisition for Carlton. I want you to think of someone... He's a very Tipper Woody type player. Very Tipper Woody type player. And it's going to be exciting. Next, Cyril Rioli. He's that ilk. He's that ilk. He could be a very good player. And... I'm looking forward to seeing him. Someone who certainly will be in the mix come round one. So let's have a look if Carlton are going to do it. I'm going to try and see if I can invert that for you. Screen capture. There we are. Seeing if I can put this... Can you crop these? Tell you what, Pom's trying to... Trying to do this for you. There you are. That's probably the best I can do so we can watch it together. But no, look, Motlop, I'm shocked that Fremantle didn't select him. I really did think Fremantle would select him. Really did think that pick that Fremantle had, 21, I thought they would go for it just because there's no way he was going to go to the 40s. There was no way. So, big risk from them. They took Matthew Johnson. I was surprised by that as well. I would have thought that there is an argument they've got players like Henry Walters, but I would have said with Walters' injuries and stuff in the last couple of years, I would have definitely gone with that. So, McDonald, who I thought Carlton were going to go with, he went just before us, and I think that pushed us there, which is really good, but real good get. Interesting that House is still there as well, I've just noticed. But great get by Richmond. Richmond have cleared up. And then they kind of let themselves down with Samuel Banks. But let's have a look what Adelaide pick up. Why are they taking so long? Does anyone explain that to me? Why did they take so long? Do you reckon Carlton will take their next pick? What's the bets? What's the bets? Because Matthew Nicks, tell you what, They do take so long, don't they? They really do take an age with the AFL. So I've put that on a bit of a bigger screen for you. Let's see if I can move that a little bit. There we are. Look at this. Pom's learning on the job. Learning on the job, I am. So we have to take 3, I think. So with the AFL amended rules, because we've upgraded 2 players, technically we only have to take 1, but we do have that additional senior spot now. Jones has retired. So by the AFL rules, we have to take another pick or get another senior spot on. So it's interesting because the AFL hasn't helped us out. There is talk that Carlton will take 2 picks and the AFL will subside, and one of our rookie upgrades, which we usually burn a pick with, will be counted. So it'll be interesting to see if Carlton go into the draft in pick 53, did I say? 50? It was around there. 56. I hope they get Domakui. Domakui is a very good player. Let's see who Adelaide take. Adelaide on the clock. Pick is in. Takes so long, doesn't it? Way too long for me. Jake Saliga. Tell you what, there's a few decent players on the board as well, isn't there? Interesting times for the football world. But yeah, I thought I'd get on to you and talk to you guys and girls purely because I was bored and no one in the house cares about the draft. So I was a little bit lonely, to be honest. But hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of that earlier. A little bit of the what we did earlier with Luke Sayers. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Really nice that he came out and spent a bit of time with us, which I thought was nice. Mots to Port in a few years. Let's hope not. Akui is really, really exciting, though, for Carlton. Exactly as Marshall mentioned and a few of you mentioned. Adam Gould mentioned as well. He's a real raw talent for Carlton, and we've probably got a chance to do it. But exciting. I'm excited about him. He's a slow burn. He's not for now. What have Geelong done? Geelong, I enjoyed the James Willis selection. I've got to say, that was a good call. I love Mitch Nether. I think Toby Conway is phenomenal for Geelong. And I think you've done well. Geelong, though, genuinely, I think you guys are the masters of the late picks. I was surprised you didn't take Connor McDonald. I thought you would, but I think that was a good pickup. Collingwood, obviously, they've done pretty well because they got Dacos, which is landlocked. West Coast Eagles, who are they picking up? Let's have a look. You know what annoys me is I don't know if anyone watches American sports like I do, but they rattle that off. Like the NBA don't fuck about. But AFL, they fuck about. Here he is, Rhett Bazzo. We talked about him a lot. WA. He's a very special player. A very, very special player. He's someone that I'm a fan of. So I think we actually do have, just to impress you guys, some of these players I have draft profiles on. So let's see if I've got one for you. So we can talk about them. We'll rival them. Did I do a Rhett Bazzo one? I did. I love it. I love my organisation. There we are, Rhett Bazzo. Look at that. What a selection. Can play the tall. Mainly a third defender though. Strong intercept game. Exceptional IQ. Also has floated up top as well in the last couple of years. So really exciting. No talent for him. And probably could have gone higher if it wasn't for injury. But swingman opportunity there, because if you look at his set shot is a delight. So be interesting to see what Carlton do. So because there is talk. I was speaking to a few of my mates in the AFL trade. Carlton can select with their second pick if they want to, and they're looking at doing a deal with the AFL that is unconfirmed, that one of our rookie upgrades will be taken care of with the Jones retirement, which I think is fair. The AFL have got to do something because we can't plan. Who is going to mark Jesse Motlop in the forward line consisting of... I think it's going to be really interesting, the makeup, Rambo. Real interesting makeup of it, because Harry and Charlie are absolutely phenomenal. And the way that I see Essendon's forward line working, because I compare Motlop very similar to Tipper Woody, is he roams at the feet of these tolls. Now, the tolls Carlton possess 1,000 times better than what Essendon possess. So I think when you've got Durden, who's more of a tackle-hungry forward, you've got Honey, who's kind of the facilitator, that is really exciting for Carlton. That is really exciting. So I think he could play round one, easy. 56 is our next pick. We haven't got long to go. He's a bit light, but I wouldn't be surprised for him to play. These players have played before. I would say if I was a guess, if I was a betting man, I would say you'll probably see him about round 6, round 7. I think they'll throw him into the VFL and have a look. Miller Bergman comes in at number 38 for North. North have built a little sexy little list, haven't they? They've done pretty well with their picks, I've got to say. Obviously, when you've got Horn, though, it kind of glosses over any mistakes you make. But very interesting. Melbourne on the clock next. I can't believe the AFL give 5 minutes. Does anyone else think 5 minutes is way too long? Way too long. I'd imagine we're going to get some passes soon as well. So we should. I'll stick around to see if we get another pick with Carlton because I enjoyed chatting to you guys and girls. North have done all right. Still a shit club. Spot on, Timmy P. Actually, there's a couple of North fans who follow me and they're actually really good guys. But 5 minutes to take a pick when you've had 4 months to plan. Well, you've had a year to plan, really. Who's everyone's favourite player in the draft at the moment? Your favourite pick? I really like Carlton's pick, obviously. Motlop, that's cheating, though. I can't say Carlton, can I? I'm a real big fan of the Adelaide Josh Rochelle pick. I froth that. Melbourne, not messing around. I rate it, Melbourne. Don't piss about, just pick. I want to give them Leka. Absolutely brilliant. 3 minutes is play. You see, I'd give them 90 seconds. But good little pick up here from Melbourne. Blake Howes, my boy. He's a very good. I think my missus is 5 minutes is way too long with me. In any activity, I think. But yeah, Blake Howes, real good get for them. Really good get. Real tall wingman. He's a guy that I'm a bit in love with, Blake Howes. We talked a lot about him. And surprised to see him slip so down, but a real good acquisition. Real good acquisition from them. I do think we have a little slide for him. Let's have a look. Some of these we have slides on. Yeah, he was meant to be. I had him going around our pick, so let's have a look. Blake Howes, there we are, look. Wingman forward, marking outlet, real good relief ball user. Runs all day as well. He's a two-way runner, so they're as rare as rocking horse poo. Two-way runners. Looks like Sydney have already picked us. Hey, tell you what, I like this. They're cracking through it. Because Brisbane don't take long as well with their picks generally, so we could get here soon. This could be exciting. Very exciting times. Very exciting times. I sent an email to the club. I'm going to have a little, see if we can get a sponsorship going for Motlop. Yeah, that's why I think you're right there, Michael. I think I'd like Carlton to have a little pop at it. I'd like Carlton to have a little sniff. There's a trade in. What have they done? You see, if I'm Carlton, I'd love to have a look at Noah Pegoraro in their next pick. Take him a little bit early, or even take him after the draft, because there's talk that no one really knows yet, but who knows? But I agree with Rambo. Rambo's spot. We've got to look at it somehow. But a trade has happened. Melbourne. You see, this annoys me that they stopped the clock for another team doing a trade. Why is my question. That's my huge question this year. Why, if I'm picking and you guys and girls do a trade, do I have to stop? Makes no sense. It doesn't affect your 5 minutes, does it? Like, you should know what you want to pick. Interesting times at the AFL. They'll do anything to do it, but there was a trade there. What are they doing? No one knows. Has anyone else noticed as well that there's always an ad break after a trade? Like, you can't tell me these aren't planned. I reckon the AFL's like, shit, we need a bit of money. Can you put a trade through? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll move down one, you move up one. But we're going to take this guy, you take that guy. So good. But, oh dear. So we've got Brisbane to pick next. Doggies, Melbourne, Geelong, Essendon. Shouldn't be too long to us. I reckon you'll start to see a few passes. So I'm excited about that. I feel you, Rambo, mate. I feel you. It's ludicrous to me. It's ludicrous to me. I'd love to see like a 90-second time limit and smash it. I would have thought you could have probably charged more. Because I can't imagine people watch this draft from start to finish unless you're a glutton for punishment like me, or you just do it. Well, it's tough now. We're at the dregs. I wouldn't mind maybe a Charlie Dean. Maybe I'm big on Noah Peguara. I think he's a more mature age. He's better than Charlie Dean, in my opinion. He's more of a clone of Liam Jones. And I think if Carlton are going to take a punt on a key position player, knowing that next year's draft is full of key position players, I've just done my initial findings for next year that we usually start. For those who are watching Blue Abroad, I start my prep for next year's draft now. So it's very early. So knowing next year there's a lot of key PD, I would have a look at Noah. I think he's a very, very good footballer, and I'm a big fan of his. And I think he's the closest like to Jones, I think, out there. I know people are talking Charlie Dean. I do like Charlie Dean, but I do think Noah's got a bit more about him, played with bigger bodies for a bit longer, in a league that does produce a lot of talented keys. So I'm excited about... That's who I would probably pick if he's there at that pick. It depends what Nick's feeling. He might go another small, but I wouldn't be surprised if he felt like that. Because Noah, you'll like this, Tim P. You've said that. He can hit out in the ruck as well. Gives you a little bit of that options as well. Got a bit of swing about him as well. He has gone forward for his club. So someone that I would be looking at. Zach Taylor, Mozzle. It'd be interesting to see. I just can't see Nick Austin. I would say, looking at our list, my honest opinion is future picks to go down one to get Zach Taylor may sacrifice the development of this list next year, because at the moment Mitch McGovern and Lewis Young, although I'm confident Lewis Young will fix it, I'm not 100% convinced. So I think next year they may look and think, well, we can get another key PD through because there's some talent ones, and if they don't, then next year they always have that first round pick for a bit of show and tell. So that'll be the dream. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I wasn't surprised. I thought Geelong would take him, but I wasn't surprised because you saw Sam Mitchell's eyes light up. And looking what Sam Mitchell has brought in, he's brought in a lot of players like he likes. So, can we trade McGovern fixing draft? Be awesome, wasn't it? It would be awesome if they did. It would be awesome. So, they are messing about. Evidently, no one knows what's happening. No one knows what's happening. Will McGovern step up? That's it's the $1 million question, isn't it? Probably. I mean, you'd hope so. Mate, Luke, I am excited, really excited. For those, I put the post up on Twitter. Me and Terry covered him last week. He was my 3 to watch who was scheduled to go somewhere around our pick. Super stoked with him. I didn't think he would last. Didn't think he'd last. I really thought that they would take him. Fremantle would take him in 21. I really did. I didn't think they'd risk it. They did. They made a mistake. He's really, really good. Really, really solid. He's a huge ceiling and really can, for me, go the next level. Goes the next level. So I'm really, really happy with that. Different type of player to Butler. I'd say for what Carlton have got on their list, yes. Personally, I'd say he was the perfect selection if he was there. I'm genuinely shocked he was there. So, really exciting times, and it's going to be good to see. It's going to be really good to see, I think. Be interesting to see what Carlton do with McGovern next year. It will be really exciting to see. But I'd say to answer Luke's question, in my opinion, Motlop has skills that Butler doesn't have. I think he's a very similar player to Tipper Woody, and I think we've got the players to subsidise him at Butler. I think he's the X factor we haven't got. Interesting to see why Zach Taylor has. I mean, Zach Taylor, very good footballer. Very good. He was highly rated. I think what we're starting to see now, and we feared this at the time when we were doing the draft previews, that when you're a Victorian and you're not a full-time anything, like Zach Taylor is a bit of everything. He's a bit of a mid, played a bit forward, probably hasn't nailed anything, really. But he has, and I think that's what they worry about, because he hasn't played the football. He hasn't played the football enough to warrant it. Calder Cannon's heavily hit with COVID, so it's going to be interesting. Questions here. Isn't Boomer's son in next year's draft? I do believe so. Next year, every time kicks a goal, can we get the Carlton girls and some of the boys to sing Jesse's goal? I love that. I rate that, Stuart. Love it, mate. What's this? Carlton have traded, 55? And we've got next year's. So that looks like that's it for Carlton. Looks like they're either taking someone really late or that's it. Quinton, good day to you, my friend. Pissed, rather have gotten Howes. Haven't played the ring for us for a decade plus. I'm surprised they didn't take Howes, but I understand Motlop. I don't think anyone thought Motlop would slide to us. When me and Terry did our previews, I was shocked. I was shocked that I would be shocked if he was there. I thought Fremantle wouldn't take the chance. They know traditionally Fremantle, a lot of people bid on their players. So I thought Fremantle would have learned a little bit, but they didn't. But there it is. So Carlton have traded it away. That's interesting. Interesting, because that means Carlton now don't pick till 56. Where do Carlton pick? We don't play now, do we? Till when? 73? That was Carlton's pick, wasn't it? That they just said? Or did I miss that? Can someone confirm or deny? Corey Warner, eh? Plays like Bailey Smith. Jesus, that's a little bit of a stretch. God. Looks like it. Looks like we're probably going to it. But that was really interesting. Really interesting. But yeah, so Jesse Motlop then to recap. I'm really, really happy with that. I'm really, really stoked with that. And who knows? Who knows what Carlton will do? We'll stick around and we'll see. But that looked like it was. Looks like that's maybe Carlton officially out. I think, yeah, I agree with you, Stuart. I think that's probably now. Looks like we're going to go to SSP and take our player. So, interesting times. An extra fourth rounder next year. I wonder what Carlton's thinking on that. It probably gives them options on the rookie again. So, that's good. Be interesting what they do. I'd imagine you're going to see quite a few teams pass. Hey there, Chris, mate. How you doing, my friend? Great to see you in chat. But yeah, I think Luke's nailed it. Probably are going to go to SSP. I can't believe they're taking so long at this stage, because you are literally at the dregs of society now. You are at the dregs. Is Motlop a risk? Betts would have been a good to retain. I don't think he is. From my impression of Motlop and from watching a couple of his games and speaking to some people out in WA who have actively seen him play and giving me some feedback, is the talk is he's really, really loves his footy and this is his dream. And I think what Carlton have done really well in recent years is integrating youngsters. There's a lot of WA talent at Carlton Football Club as well. So that holds you in good stead. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I've got a real good feeling that he'll be all right. I really do think he'll be all right because we have got that wonderful clientele. And you've also got Jack Martin there as well, who is now coming in to that kind of fatherly figure. So, be interesting to see. But I wouldn't be confident and I wouldn't be worried about him being a flight risk. And my big thing as well with Carlton with that is that would have been... I mean, my biggest question with Carlton now is if they thought he's a flight risk, you can't really risk it. Hey, Pom, last question. If you were picking now, who would you have picked? Oh, if I had that pick, honestly, I would have picked Jesse Motlop if he was still there because I think he's a mercurial talent. Like we said in our draft preview, he's X Factor. You can't buy shit like that, and that's hard. We don't have any X Factor on our list who plays in that position. Durden and Honey, I love them and I've raved about them and I've covered them a lot for the draft. I love them, but they're real industrial workhorses. But Motlop, outside midfielder, and also that small forward. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get some game time on the outside. He could be, like Chris says here, could be the kind of Fisher that we always wanted. And I get that impression of him. He's a real creative footballer. Few teams have it on their list. Like you watch what Tipper Woody does. In my opinion, Tipper is one of the best players in the IFL to watch. He really excites you. And that's what you get with Motlop. So I'm really excited about that. Because in order for me, the players who play similar to him, it would have been Josh Rochelle or this guy. So I would have probably taken him. If he wasn't there, I'll be consistent. I liked Howes and I liked McDonald. I thought Howes, like Quinton said, suited maybe what we were trying to build a bit more than McDonald, but I understood the McDonald vibe. I did. Hey there, Stewie. I haven't seen it. I won't ignore it, though. I will acknowledge it. But I would imagine that Carlton have got rid of their 55. So we got rid of 55. We do have one more pick in the draft. Now, there's been no confirmation from the IFL with what they're doing with that, but we do possess 73. But there is no confirmation from the IFL if they are allowing us. I'd imagine because we've traded this pick, that means, in my opinion, what they've done is the IFL have given them dispensation that they will be able to promote one of these rookies without using one of our picks. But it's weird. Oh, that's all right, Stewie, mate. I'll send you a love heart anyway, though. I really appreciate the question, mate, and the message. Remember, all my socials, I do try and answer every question. I love talking to you guys and girls. Chris hates fish. He's not a fan of fish. I understand where his hatred comes from, though, because he probably hasn't hit the ceiling. And I think it's probably a good thing for us to be disappointed with our players. I thought that was the thing I got from Luke Sayers today. There was an acknowledgement that we aren't good. We aren't good. And it hasn't been good enough. So I think these players will be held to task. Joshua, that's crazy, that. Bids pending. No one can hate me. Oh, there's a few. Few X's in there as well. They won't like me, but it's probably worth it. I've got to say. It's deserved. So at the moment, it's going to be interesting how the IFL play this, because with Jones retiring, we needed to take one pick and promote two. So to make the minimum requirement of the IFL list in the senior list. So now it's going to be really interesting to see what the IFL do. Now the talk is they're going to give us an SPP pick. So we may take a mature age player. Be interesting to do, because now we've traded that pick, we can't do what most people thought we were going to do, and that's burn the picks and promote a rookie. So obviously the IFL have done something to us. It's just amazing that the IFL don't tell us. I mean, I thought what was interesting is that the IFL didn't know what to do, even though they made the mandate rule. They didn't know what to do if someone didn't take the vaccine, which I find truly bizarre. But, I mean, I'm not the IFL. If it was me, you would have known. Josh Fahey goes to GWS, and look at his family. You know what I really enjoy about this is just how the families react. It must be great. I'd love it if one of my kids did it. Well, I mean, the compensation, it doesn't even exist. You see, it's a great point you make, Albert. And I don't want to get on a rant, but I just can't believe that the AFL would make a rule that basically says you've got to fire a player for a rule that suddenly came into effect in the last 3 months. So you've got to remember when these teams were planning their list and doing the delisting, this was probably a rumour, but it wasn't written in stone, that they didn't have a compensation system. Because, like, you could argue if it's a player like Jordan Boyd, it doesn't really affect your list, does it? But if it's a player like Jones, who was best 22, and we can't deny that, I just can't believe we haven't had a compensation. And even if this was Collingwood or Essendon, I would be saying it's grossly unfair for a player of this magnitude to be forced into retirement and then not be an option for some kind of reparations. And I can't imagine the AFL clubs would have complained. But then again, it is the AFL. I think we are done. Oh, Albert, I'm with you. You see, I said this, what you need for Carlton's best case scenario when it was rumoured to be Jones, I said he's now a top-level player, does something. Top-level player refuses to have the vaccine because then their hand will be forced. I think the big problem is, and this is the AFL in a nutshell for me, because it's just one club, they don't give a shit. And I think that they've sold the feedback so bloody well that if I was another player, like let's just say, like I said this the other night, and we were having this discussion at work, because I remember when someone resigned over the vaccine mandate at work, and about 6 people who were in between suddenly booked in for the vaccine because they saw work was serious. They basically said, you're gone if you don't get vaccinated. If you're a young player now, and look at Liam Jones, he's been really lambasted in the press for this. I'd be taking the vaccine if I was unvaccinated as a player. Why the fuck would I want all that abuse? Terry was stoked. He was stoked that we'd called it again. 3rd year in the row. We've covered the right player. So it's always a nervous time for me because I put a lot of effort into this. So, Ollie, I agree with you, mate. I just can't believe it. Like Lana, she agrees as well. Like, how there isn't, and I was hearing them talk today on the radio, and there was all this talk of, I believe Carlton have been told they can do this. And I'm like, why doesn't everyone know? Because there was meant to be 5 players unvaccinated at this stage when the AFL did that report. So I'd want to know what you've done to Carlton so we can work out what we're doing if one of my players hasn't. And let's just say now, here's a great little thing. Imagine if a player still refuses to be vaccinated after the draft. What are they going to do? Absolutely mind-boggling to me. You see, personally, I think the mandate should have been at the start of November. I think it was left too late, in my opinion. It was left too late. Because I feel sorry for any club. Like St Kilda evidently had 2, according to the reports, I believe. St Kilda fans may be able to do it. I remember my wife mentioning it, that there was 2. So that says to me, what happens if 2 St Kilda players now refuse to be vaccinated? How are they going to be compensated? Because at least Carlton can do this. So it'll be interesting. Troy, Charlie Dean. Charlie Dean would be a good get. I'm a big fan, like I say, on Pegagora. I think he's more of a Jones replacement. Like Luke says, let's see who we invite in trend to watch. I do like that plan by Carlton. I'd love Carlton to maybe go like Charlie Dean, Pegagora, and get a few guys in. Do you remember when we had Callum Moore and co, and they were all fighting for one list spot? I'd really like that event to happen. But it'd be interesting. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Arthur Jones, what a great name. I love that name. It's a beautiful name. Well, that looks like it's it, so I might go and have a wash. I've enjoyed chatting to you, though. And thanks very much for joining. Thanks for all the love and support. We are going to do a bit of a members-only live this weekend, and there will be some FIFA content this weekend, and there will be the great Faz joining me for a football game. I love you all. Thank you very much. Go Blues. Enjoy Motlop.